What if I told you your next meal could grow directly from your trash can? Imagine never buying certain vegetables again, simply by regrowing them from kitchen scraps. This isn't science fiction. It's the secret to an endless harvest that's been hiding in plain sight on your cutting board. Every time you chop green onions, trim celery, or peel ginger, you're holding the potential for a perpetual garden that could save you hundreds of dollars while reducing your environmental footprint. The average household throws away nearly 240 pounds of food waste annually, much of which contains viable plant material that could regenerate into thriving perennial vegetables. Instead of tossing those scraps into the compost bin, you could be cultivating a self-sustaining food system right on your windowsill or in your backyard. This revolutionary approach to gardening transforms your kitchen into a propagation station and your food waste into future harvests. The magic behind scrap regrowth lies in understanding what makes certain vegetables perennial powerhouses. Unlike annual plants that complete their entire life cycle in one growing season, perennial vegetables possess specialized storage systems that allow them to survive and regrow year after year. These plants have evolved incredible survival mechanisms, storing energy in their roots, bulbs, rhizomes, or stem bases that serve as launching pads for new growth. When you cut into vegetables like green onions, leeks, or celery, you're essentially performing a natural pruning operation. The remaining base contains all the cellular machinery and stored nutrients needed to generate fresh shoots. This regenerative capacity is what commercial growers have exploited for centuries, and now you can harness this same biological phenomenon in your own home. The environmental benefits extend far beyond your garden borders. By regrowing vegetables from scraps, you're participating in a circular economy that reduces methane emissions from landfills, decreases transportation costs, and minimizes packaging waste. Each scrap you regrow represents one less item on your grocery list and one more step toward food independence. Masterclass in scrap selection and preparation. Green onions and leeks represent the perfect entry point into scrap gardening because of their remarkable resilience and rapid regrowth rate. When preparing these alliums for cooking, reserve at least 2 inches of the white base, ensuring the root plate remains intact. This root plate is the crown jewel of regeneration, containing the meristematic tissue that will produce new shoots. Place these bases in a shallow dish with just enough water to cover the roots, positioning them near a sunny window, but away from direct afternoon sun that might scorch the delicate new growth. Within 3 to 5 days, you'll witness the miracle of regeneration as bright green shoots emerge from the center of each base. The key to sustained growth lies in changing the water every 2 to 3 days to prevent bacterial buildup and providing adequate light for photosynthesis. As the shoots reach 4 to 6 inches in height, you can begin your first harvest, cutting just above the white portion to encourage continued growth. Celery and romaine lettuce follow a similar regeneration pattern but require slightly different handling techniques. For celery, cut the stalks about 2 inches from the base, ensuring you preserve the heart where new growth originates. Romaine lettuce requires cutting about 1 inch from the bottom, leaving the core intact. Both vegetables benefit from starting in shallow water, with the cut surface just touching the waterline. Too much water can lead to rot, while too little prevents the uptake necessary for new growth. The transformation typically begins within a week, with tiny yellow-green leaves emerging from the center. This initial growth might appear fragile, but it's actually incredibly robust. As the new leaves develop and turn darker green, they're producing the energy needed to establish a stronger root system. This is the critical transition period where your attention to water quality and light exposure determines long-term success. Ginger and potato cultivation from scraps represents a more advanced technique that yields, honestly, some pretty impressive long-term results. Ginger propagation requires selecting pieces with visible growth nodes or eyes that appear as small bumps on the rhizome surface. These pieces should be allowed to dry for about 24 to 48 hours before planting, which creates a protective callus that helps prevent rot. You'll want to plant the ginger pieces in well-draining potting mixed with the growth nodes facing upward and cover them with just about an inch of soil. Potatoes, on the other hand, present unique opportunities for scrap gardening, especially when they start developing eyes during storage. Rather than tossing out sprouting potatoes, cut them into pieces, making sure each section contains at least one eye. Allow these pieces to cure for a day before planting them in containers filled with loose, fertile soil. The key to potato success really lies in understanding their growth habit. As the plants develop, you'll need to gradually add soil around the stems to encourage tuber development. The transition from water propagation to soil cultivation marks a critical juncture in your perennial scrap garden development. This transplantation process requires careful timing and attention to environmental conditions. Most water-propagated scraps are ready for soil transition when they've developed roots that are at least 2 inches long and show signs of new top growth. Prepare a high-quality potting mix enriched with compost or worm castings to provide the nutrients necessary for sustained growth. The soil should drain well while still retaining adequate moisture, creating an environment that encourages root expansion without becoming waterlogged. When transplanting, handle the delicate roots carefully, creating a shallow depression in the soil that accommodates the entire root system without bending or crowding. Location selection plays a crucial role in long-term success. Most regrown vegetables thrive in bright, indirect light during their establishment period, gradually acclimating to more intense conditions as they mature. Indoor growing requires positioning plants near south-facing windows or supplementing with grow lights during those shorter winter days. Outdoor cultivation should begin in partially shaded areas, gradually introducing plants to full sun exposure over the course of a week. Temperature consistency really accelerates establishment and growth rates. Most perennial vegetables from scraps prefer temperatures between 65 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit during their active growing season. Avoid placing containers near heating vents or air conditioning units that create temperature fluctuations. Instead, choose locations with stable environmental conditions that mirror the plant's natural growing preferences. Watering technique becomes increasingly sophisticated as your scrap garden matures. Newly transplanted vegetables require consistent moisture without saturation, which is typically achieved through daily light watering or misting. As root systems develop, transition to deeper but less frequent watering sessions that encourage roots to penetrate deeper into the soil. The finger test remains the most reliable moisture gauge. Soil should feel slightly moist at a depth of about 1 inch but never soggy. The art of harvesting perennial vegetables really lies in understanding each plant's growth pattern and regenerative capacity. Green onions and leeks can be harvested continuously using the cut and come again method, where you remove outer leaves while leaving the growing center intact. This technique, honestly, ensures uninterrupted production while maintaining plant health and vigor. Timing your harvests correctly maximizes both yield and plant longevity. Early morning harvesting captures vegetables at their peak moisture content and nutritional value, while avoiding the stress of midday heat. For leafy vegetables like romaine and celery, harvest outer leaves first, allowing the center to continue developing. This approach maintains photosynthetic capacity while providing immediate culinary rewards. Seasonal harvesting adjustments accommodate natural growth cycles and ensure continued productivity. During spring and summer active growing seasons, you can harvest more aggressively, knowing that plants have adequate energy and environmental conditions for rapid regeneration. Fall and winter harvesting should be more conservative, allowing plants to maintain sufficient foliage for energy production during reduced daylight hours. Storage and preservation techniques extend the value of your scrap garden harvests. Freshly cut green onions can be chopped and frozen in ice cube trays with a small amount of water, creating convenient flavor cubes for cooking. Celery leaves can be dehydrated and ground into flavorful seasoning powders, while excess ginger can be grated and frozen for future culinary applications. Your success with basic scrap regeneration opens doors to more adventurous propagation experiments. Herb stems from basil, mint, and cilantro often contain enough viable nodes to generate new plants when placed in water. Root vegetables like carrots and beets, while not fully regenerable, can produce nutritious greens from their tops when placed in shallow water. The key to expanding your scrap garden lies in observation and experimentation. Keep detailed records of which vegetables regrow successfully in your specific environment, noting factors like light exposure, temperature ranges, and seasonal variations. This information becomes invaluable for refining your techniques and sharing knowledge with fellow gardeners. Community engagement amplifies your success through shared learning and resource exchange. Local gardening groups often welcome members who can share propagation techniques and excess plants. Online forums and social media groups provide platforms for troubleshooting challenges and celebrating successes with like-minded gardeners worldwide. Your kitchen scrap garden represents more than just free vegetables. It's a statement about sustainable living and self-reliance. Each plant you successfully regrow reduces your dependence on commercial agriculture while connecting you more deeply to your food sources. This hands-on experience builds confidence for tackling larger gardening projects and developing more sophisticated growing skills. As you witness the daily miracle of regeneration in your scrap garden, you're participating in an ancient agricultural tradition that values resourcefulness and sustainability. Your success story becomes inspiration for others to reduce waste, save money, and develop deeper connections with their food. The knowledge you gain and the abundance you create establish the foundation for a lifetime of gardening success and environmental stewardship. Ready to transform your kitchen scraps into a thriving perennial garden? Start with just one green onion base today and watch the magic unfold. Don't forget to subscribe to the Living Soil Lab for more innovative gardening techniques and share this guide with fellow gardeners who are ready to discover the hidden potential in their kitchen waste.